Hey everybody, this is James with PSP Kingston, coming at you today with another video, our video series. Today's is going to be a full body mobility session. So before we get started, just make sure you read through the system that you've seen in regards to injuries. So for today's session, we're going to run through, again, it's a quick full body mobility session. So in terms of equipment that you might need, some sort of bench type apparatus, so you can use a chair, a couch, you can have a bench. That's fantastic if you're doing this in a gym setting. That'll work as well. You just want the bench to be like roughly like knee height to get the right kind of height you need for the actual movement that we're going to be doing for that. So somewhere around like the chin knee height. You don't want it to be too much lower, too much higher than that proportionally. So again, a chair, a bench. A couch would work if you have something like that, so I'm doing this at home. The other object that you're going to need, two options here. So you can use a straight dowel type piece of equipment, so this is like a little work stick handle, that would be fine. A hockey stick's a good option as well, so something straight, long enough. And that isn't too flexible. But also the alternative to that would be to use a band. So any kind of exercise band type material. And if you're really pinching, you don't have any of those, the other option that you could use would be a towel. So you can take a towel and roll it up for our exercise that I'm going to show you there. So I'll let you know what that one's for. But again, if you do have the dowel, you can use that. But the towel or the band option will be a little bit easier. So the dowel is kind of like the progression version, or the up version. If you need to progress back, we would be using the other one. So this is going to be a full long session, so I'm just going to talk you through as we go so you can follow along with what we do. So again, this is a mobility piece you can do. It's going to be full body, so something you can do, anywhere from like 1 to up to 5 days a week. It's kind of like tailor up in terms of how much you actually do. So we're going to go top to bottom for this one. So we're going to start with our upper body. And move through into our lower body piece. So starting with our upper body piece, we're going to start off with what's known as shoulder dislocations. It's a gymnastics movement. It's where it has kind of its roots. It's an exercise for kind of warming up some of the glenoid and humeral tissues within your shoulder. So you're going to take a nice wide grip. So again, if you're using the dowel object, nice wide grip, same thing with the band or the towel. And what you're going to do is keep those arms as straight as you can. You're going to go up all the way over the top and back. So we're going to do 10 total. So each one you feel like you've got the range. You can move your hands a little bit closer. That's 2. And once you find that spot where you're happy with, just hold that range. And so again, try to open up through the chest tissue as well as you're going through. And then again, move your hands a little closer. And so again, all the way over and all the way back. Perfect. So there was 10. So we're going to cycle through a couple rounds. So this is just the first round, so just 10 quick. Again, go with that nice wide grip. We're just going to do a little bit of a variation with shoulder dislocation. So rotating the one hand up, around, bring the other side across, and then same thing in the other direction. That's 1. So we're going to do 3 of these total. So you're going to try to keep that top arm nice and straight as you're coming through. And there's 3 on each side. So again, just going through the first round here. So our next piece, we're going to do some T-spine mobilization. We're going to do 10 of these as well. So you're going to need your bench. You're going to come into a kneeling posture in front of your bench. Elbows on the bench. Underhand grip on your dowel or your towel or your band. Hands should be roughly shoulder width apart. And from here, you're just going to rotate, drop your hips back, pull that dowel toward your back, and then come back and release. So there's 1. So we're going to do 10 of these extensions. So again, try to drop your chest down as you pull those arms back. So you should feel stretched here through the lat tissue. And last one here, we'll hold this last one for a couple seconds. All right, so we'll leave our down on our bench there. Okay, so that's our upper body. So we're going to switch to lower body. What we'll do is, as we transition between the upper and the lower, we'll do a quick little spinal mobilization drill. So similar to two yoga poses, if you're familiar with that, downward dog. And cobra. So from this position here, pushing the hips back to around, and then switching, dropping the hands down and coming into extension. That's one. So we're just going to flow back and forth between those two. Just getting that flexion extension to the spine. So just a little bit of spinal mobilization here. That's 3, bring to 5 total. One more flexion, and one more extension. Perfect, good. Just a little piece there, just kind of work through a little bit of that spinal mobilization, kind of warm up the midline. So transitioning upper down to our lower body portion. So we're going to do a couple of drills on our lower body. First one we're going to do is a little bit of an external rotation drill. Again, yoga pose, pigeon pose, if you're familiar with that. So coming from a kneeling position, so you're going to bring that leg forward. So the more you bring your foot up to and creating a 90-degree angle for your knee, the harder this is going to be. Other legs back as far as you can, try to get it nice and straight. From this position here, just dropping the chest down towards your legs, down towards the floor, holding for a sec here. Then we're going to do a quick little rotation. We're going to rotate the chest towards the knee. Then we're going to rotate the opposite direction. So rotating the chest away from the bent knee. And then dropping the chest down. And holding. And then release. So that's our one side. So starting with the leg, that's fine. Just switch to the opposite leg now. So again, it's the same thing. So setting up that angle of the knee. So again, the closer that heel is towards that opposite hip, the less angle you have, the easier. The more you create that 90-degree angle, the harder that's going to be. Kicking that little leg straight back and dropping the chest down. And rotate the chest towards that knee. And rotate in the direction. And then once we're dropping the chest down. And release. Perfect. So a little bit of external rotation work there. And now we're going to switch, we're going to do a little bit of internal rotation work. So for this one, you're just going to lay on your back. So you want to set your hips up, so your feet are just kind of like outside. And what you're going to do is you're going to start on the first leg you started with. So I started on the left side. So starting on that side, drop that hip, so drop that knee down towards, rotate the hip in, bring that other foot across, and you can create a little bit of extra traction, a little bit extra stretch, trying to drop that knee in. So I'm just going to hold this one. And then release. And then switching to the other side. So again, dropping that knee down, internal rotation of the hip, bring that opposite foot across the top of the knee, and you can use that opposite leg to increase that stretch, get a little more tension. And release. Perfect. So we did some external rotation, some internal rotation. So now we're going to put that together. So we're going to do another drill. We're going to do squat to stand. So we're just going to do 5. And we're going to pause each one for a brief period. So squat to stand, you want to take a stance that's a little bit wider than your normal squat stance. So you take your normal squat stance, go a little bit wider. Toes can be pointed out slightly. From here, we're going to reach down, grabbing the tops of the toes. So from a straight leg position, you're going to pull down into a squat position, so pulling the hips down, pausing, and then push the hips back up, stretching the posterior, chain a little bit, and then pulling down again. So as you pull your hips down, try and open your chest up. And there's 2, push the hips back up. So we're going to do 5 here. And pulling the hips down, chest up, trying to create some length for the spine there. And that's 3. Most of your chain stretch out, pulling down. Pushing back up, that's 4. We're gonna do 1 more here. And down. And push back up. 1 last one, stretch and push your chain. Release, and then stand back up. All right, and 1 last piece here, just to kind of finish off the set. We're just gonna do a little bit of spot press. So you're going to grab your dowel, your band again, push it up overhead with a nice wide grip, and you're going to come down into an overhead squat as low as you can. So find your position, and then from here bring the dowel down, press back up, that's 1. So we're just going to do 5 presses, just kind of bringing all that mobility in together in that deep squat position. And 1 more, and then stand back up. And release our down, stretch out, shake out. All right, so that's our first round in. Okay, so we're going to quickly run through 2 more rounds. A little bit less description each one we're going to flow through. So it's good with this mobility. Sometimes take a little bit less. Go through. It gives your body time to kind of sequence through and adapt to some of the new ranges. Okay. So again, with your dowel, your towel, your band, when you have your dislocations, we're going to run through a quick set of 10 again. So again, up and over, keeping those arms nice and straight. And again, moving those hands in. You feel you got some extra range. If you don't have any extra range, that's fine. Just go as wide as you can. The key thing is to try to keep those hands as wide as you can. And then try to bring them in closer if you have extra range. Cool, so there's our 10, I think, kind of talking, so lost down a little bit, but it was close. So, again, nice wide grip, rotate that head up and over. And again, to the other side, there's 1. So you're gonna do 3 of these total. So this is just kind of moving into a little bit of internal, external rotation to the shoulder in a nice dynamic fashion. And there's 3. Perfect. So there's our dislocation drill, run through real quick. We're going to move on to our T-spine mobilization with our bench again. So again, our hand grip on the dowel, elbows on. And from here, pushing the hips back, driving the chest down, pulling that dowel back. There's 1. So we're going to do 5. Actually, we'll do 10 on these. This was 10. More. And last one, we'll hold for a sec here. Release. So, big thing there is you're trying to get a nice big stretch through the chest, through that T-spine, that upper back area, and a stretch through the lats. You should have a nice stretch through that lat portion underneath the armpit, okay? So if the body's done, just those 2 quick drills. Now we're going to run through our little midline series. So again, starting off, just make sure you got hand space there, good. Starting off in our flexion position, and switching into extension. Back to flexion, so again, just moving your spine through those 2 ranges. Just a little bit of inline work here. So you're going to try and keep this nice and dynamic and flowy. So try and get feeling that movement through the spine. And 1 more on each here. Perfect, good. All right, switching. We're going to our external rotation drill. So we'll just change the angle on this one a little bit so you can kind of see a little bit of a different range here. So again, setting up that foot, creating that angle, closer angle, easier, creating that more 90-degree angle a little harder. Other leg straight back, drop the chest down. And then rotate. Rotating the other direction. And then back to the middle one last time. Release, and switching to the opposite side. So again, creating that angle, other leg straight back, dropping the chest down. So get as low as you can. Good, rotating that chest towards the knee. So this is just again create some dynamic movement through some of those ranges. And release. Perfect. So switching from external rotation to our internal rotation. So again, setting the feet up kind of wide, opening up the hip a little bit. We'll start down on the same side, so dropping that hip down, and then bring that foot across. Just trying to bring that foot or that knee down towards the ground. So you should feel this in that hip. And then we'll switch to the other side. So same thing, just make sure you gotta try and duplicate that foot position on the opposite side. Again, you might notice a little bit of a difference. Left to right, one side to the other. It's very common. And release. Perfect. So we got our external, our internal, right? Next time we're going to go back to that squat to stand. So again, we'll change the angle on that squat stand, the angle that you're viewing it from. So again, a little bit wider than your normal squat stance. A couple little extra steps. Reach down, grab the top of the toes. As you're going through, you need to adjust your feet, that's fine. So again, straight leg position to start. And then pulling hips down, chest up. Pushing back up, there's one. So you're going to do 5 on this one. There's 2. So again, take your time coming down. That's 3, so really try and open up the knees, create that space for your hips. And one more. Hold this one a little longer here. So you're really trying to open that chest up, create that length through the spine. And push back up, hold that top position, just stretch close to your chin out for a sec. And stand back up. And then relax lower body, full body drill really, our sauce press. So again, grab your dowel, or whatever object you're using, hockey stick, band or towel, push it up overhead, get your overhead position. Find your squat stance, and come down into that deep squat. So again, take a second, find your deep squat position as low as you can, and then bring it down to the upper back, press up. Down to the upper back, press up, that's 2. So again, just trying to create some dynamic range of motion in that bottom position. And then stand back up. We're gonna need that down in a sec. Okay, so 2 rounds in. So we're gonna go through same series, same cycle one more time. So on this 3rd round through, you make little modifications, changes in some of the foot positions and whatnot as you need to. You've had 2 sets to kind of get acclimated to the positions and what you're doing. So we got one more round through. All right, so starting with our shoulder dislocations again. It's an ominous name, but that is the name. So again, starting with a wide grip if you need to. Bringing the hands up, over. So we're going to do 10. So again, you might have a little bit extra range here as we move through, as your body's kind of got acclimated to some of these positions. So again, adjust the hands as you see fit. We got 4. So again, just moving those hands a little bit in if you can, or you can stay wide. Again, the key thing is keep those arms nice and straight all the way over and the way back. And there's 10. So shake that out for a sec. So we're gonna do one extra little piece here on the end. So take your widest grip, bring the hands up, over, and then hold this back position. And then we're just gonna stretch out some of that anterior tissue, chest, anterior shoulder portions. These get really tight from seated posture, so it's good to take some time to stretch those out, open those up, create some of that better postural positioning alignment. And bring the hands back over. Again, just kind of like take a little shake out there. All right. So just our secondary dislocation drill. Again, just rotate the one hand up and around, and then reverse. There's our one. There's our two. So again, try to keep that arm nice and close to the head on both portions on the way around. And there's our three. All right. Dislocation drill's done. We're going to work on that T-spine from last time. So again, we're going to our bench T-spine mobilization. We're going to do 10 reps again. So again, elbows on the bench, underhand grip, shoulder, our hands should be roughly shoulder width apart. And pushing the hips back, pulling the hand back towards the upper back. That's one. So again, 10 on this drill here. You can adjust the hands if you feel like you need to, if you need different hand position. And on this last one here, we're just going to hold this position, really try to drop that chest down, create a nice length through the spine. And release. Perfect. Okay, so there's our upper body portion done in our last round. So now we're going to move on, before we transition to lower body, that one more spinal mobilization, midline drill. So again, setting up for that flexion extension. So starting at flexion, rounding out, and switching into extension. So we're going to make this one a little bit more flowy, just alternate back and forth between the two. Try to feel through that movement a little bit. And one last extension here. Hold that extension for a sec, stretch out the midline. Perfect. And relax that out. All right, so midline's done. So we're going to our last round on our lower body series, starting off with our external rotation drill, pigeon pose. So go back to the 45-degree angle for viewers here. So again, creating that angle, maybe have a little bit more range now, maybe get close to that 90, and dropping that chest down. Back up, rotate towards that bent knee. And rotate in the other direction, towards that instep of the foot away from the knee. And then one more time down center. Perfect. Switching to the opposite leg. So you're going to take a second there, set up your angle, kick that foot back, point that toe out, get that foot nice and flat, and then drop the chest down. And towards the knee. So again, same thing here. You might notice some difference left to right. I know my right side's way tighter, and that's very normal, very common. You're always going to have a dominant side. Opening up here, rotating away from that knee. And then one more time down the center. Perfect. So, releasing from there. So our external rotation is done. Now we're going to switch into internal rotation one more time. So again, set up a nice open posture with the feet. Feet are nice and wide, wider than the hips. And rotate the knee down, come across. So the wider you go, a little bit more stretch you're going to get. So if you can go wider, go wider. Trying to drop that knee down towards. Using that top foot, trying to drop that knee down. You can create a little bit of extra tension, a little bit of a passive stretch. And release. And then switch to the other side. So just kind of duplicate that foot position as best you can. And then rotate down. And you can use the opposite foot. Run that across. On top of that knee that's coming down. To create some of that tension. Release. All right, so we're external rotation done, internal rotation done. Now we're going back to our squat to stand. So we'll come back to that 45-degree angle just to create a little bit more viewer friendly. So again, a little bit wider than your squat stance. So with this one, what you're really trying to do is you're trying to kind of pull your hips in and trying to rotate that femur away from that hip. So you're trying to kind of create positions by rotating that leg out and pushing out so you can pull your hips down to that position, okay? So again, find your foot position, grab the top of the toes, and from that straight leg position, pull those hips down, pull the chest up, nice and tall through the spine, and push the hips back up, stretch out that posterior chain, to the hamstrings, glutes a little bit, and pull it back down for our second rep here. So we're gonna do 5. Pushing back up, and pulling back down. This is 3. So hopefully you're finding a little bit more range here on this last round. And one more time here. Stretching the posterior chain, last one. So really try to drop those hips down, push those knees out, create that space, pull that chest up, hold this position for a sec here. And pushing back up, and stay back up. Take a little bit of a shake out there, kind of stretch out the hip a little bit. So lots of stretching there, and then we're going to do one more little application drill. We're going to do our sauce press again. So we'll go from a side angle on the sauce press this time, just create a little bit of a different angle for the viewing. So again, find your squat stance. So your squat stance should be roughly hip distance apart, or if you want a little extra stretch, you can go just outside of hip, and that'll create a little bit extra space so you can stretch out. Again, nice wide grip, press it down overhead. And then from here, squatting down into that down position. Find that down position, get nice and comfortable. And then we're going to do 5 presses. So bring it down, try to press straight back up. So changing those positions, just a little bit of a dynamic challenge for that mobility. Hold this bottom position for a second, get comfortable, and then stay back up. Perfect. That's it. So that's 3 rounds through with all those drills. So again, that's just a quick little full body mobility session. An easy one to run through. We're only like 25 minutes there, so nice and quick. You know, if you need to be even shorter, even just running through that 1 round cycle of all the movements is a good option there. That only will take 5 to 7 minutes, and it's a good way to just kind of work something in through your day. Another quick little talking point on that is, if you did notice some big discrepancies left to right, again, that is normal, it's common, but it is something to be cognizant of. If you do notice that difference, kind of figure out maybe why there is that difference. Maybe you have an injury, maybe there is something that you do as a repetitive thing from a sport perspective that might be causing that. And it's important, again, it is common, and it's not the worst thing in the world to have it, but it is good to be cognizant of it, and then to maybe try and change some of those factors that might be causing maybe that left right discrepancy, and maybe spend a little bit more time on that opposite side to try and create a little bit more balance in the body. So hopefully that quick little follow-along session there was helpful. You're feeling a little bit looser, a little bit more limber there. So mobility is definitely a big thing. if you want to see benefits from it, it's very good to have a high frequency. So try and do it more often. Find little pieces that you can add throughout your day and do it more often if you really want to see some of those benefits from it. It's much better to have a high frequency with shorter duration than to do it like frequency with a long duration. The body kind of responds better to those more frequent applications of mobility drills and exercises. So hopefully that maybe gives you a couple things you might want to add in, maybe with your warm up, your cool down, stuff like that. So again, try and do it. If it's hard to fit in big pieces throughout the week or whatnot, find smaller pieces you can add in with a high frequency. You're going to see great dividends from that. So thanks for following along. If you want to give us a follow on our social media channels or subscribe to the YouTube channel, that would be fantastic. Again, this is James with PSP Kingston signing off. Thanks for following along.
PSP Kingston, the health and wellness provider for the military community.